How's it going, everyone? Welcome to Ray Talks Hoop. Now, today I really want to go ahead and talk about Fred VanVleet's crazy performance. So, first things first, for those of you who have watched this channel before, you know that I am a Laker fan. I am not a Raptors fan whatsoever. However, after having made YouTube videos these past couple of months, I've seen a lot of Raptors fans commenting on my videos and just showing their support and thanking me for my unbiased opinion. So with that being said, even though I am not a Raptor fan, I am genuinely happy for the Toronto Raptors and Fred VanVleet. Now, if Fred's 54 points would have came against my Lakers, I don't know how happy I would have been for Fred and for the Toronto Raptors, but since it happened against the Orlando Magic, then I couldn't be any more ecstatic. Now, I'm sure most Toronto Raptor fans are gonna agree with what I'm about to say, but there's always gonna be those one or two people who have to say otherwise. And here's this. Most of us can probably agree that the American media does not give the Toronto Raptors the credit they deserve. For instance, back in 2019, when the Raptors won the championship, sure, ESPN talked about them once they got to the finals and a little bit in the semifinals, but what teams always get talked about? The big market teams. The Lakers, even though we weren't doing too well back then. The Knicks, even if it's just Stephen A. Smith going on a tantrum. But the point that I'm making is, Toronto never really gets the credit they deserve, even when they are the best team in the entire league. Now, I don't necessarily see Fred VanVleet's 54 points changing that. Maybe for a day or two, ESPN and all these other media outlets will talk about Fred and the Toronto Raptors. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because right now, I can pretty much guarantee that Fred VanVleet is finally going to get some spotlight. And even though it took being the player who broke the record for most points in a game out of all undrafted players for Fred to finally get the credit he deserves, I am glad he's getting his credit. Now, for those of you who are watching that are not too sure what Fred VanVleet has done to deserve a lot of credit, this guy played a huge role in the Raptors' 2019 championship run. He also played a huge role in their playoff run last year. Granted, they lost in Game 7 to the Celtics last year. They did not make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, but if it wasn't for Fred VanVleet, I will guarantee you that they would have lost a whole lot sooner than they actually did. And did Fred get his credit back then? No, he didn't really get much credit. The Raptors might have been mentioned here or there. So today and tomorrow, when we see the media talking about Fred VanVleet, I'm glad he's getting his shine for having put up 54 points and setting the record out of all undrafted players. But in reality, Fred VanVleet deserved credit way before he ever did this. And if you agree with that, go ahead and give this video a like. It does help out the channel. And if you don't agree with it, then still give the video a like anyway, because you're probably wrong, but yeah. Now, what can we learn from Fred's historical performance? Number one, it might sound kind of cliche and cheesy, but the truth is, you can't ever really give up on yourself. If this guy would have given up when he went undrafted, he would have never became an NBA champion. He would have never became a multi-millionaire playing the sport that he loves. He would have never had all the fans he has now. And yes, I am a Fred VanVleet fan. I'm not a Raptor fan. Never will be a fan of any basketball team other than the Lakers. But Fred VanVleet, I am one of your biggest fans for sure. So yes, it does sound cliche to say never give up and believe in yourself. But if Fred's story isn't proof of that, then I really don't even know what else to say at this point. Now, for those of you who came here to listen to some actual statistics, I'm about to deliver on that right now. So, as you all know, Fred put up 54 points last night, and he did this on 17 of 23 from the field, while shooting 74% from the field. For those of you watching that this might be your first time hearing about basketball, 74% is very, very, very good, especially for a guard, which is the position that Fred VanVleet plays. Kyle Lowry, he put up a triple-double last night, but of course his performance was overshadowed by Fred VanVleet, and in a situation like this, where Kyle's teammate had a phenomenal game, I'm sure Kyle does not care that he's being overshadowed once again. Kyle Lowry is a phenomenal teammate, so I'm sure that in his mind, he couldn't be any happier that Fred VanVleet is getting all the spotlight for the day. And for those of you who are still with me, last time I made a video on the Toronto Raptors, I mentioned that the Raptors were currently the 13th seed in the Eastern Conference. However, I also said that even though they are the 13th seed, I wouldn't really get too distracted by that, because at the time, the reason they were the 13th seed was because they had a very slow start to the season and they were only a couple games behind the 8th and 9th seed. Now, fast forward a week or two, the Toronto Raptors are the 9th seed. The Raptors record is currently 9 wins and 12 losses, but the two teams ahead of them, the 7th and 8th seed, their records are 10 and 11. So essentially, if the Raptors would have just won one of those games that they lost, they would have possibly been the 7th or the 8th seed right now. Now, basketball and life isn't a game of if they would have won, like, oh, then if this would have happened, you know, so I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole, but I'm just saying, even though Toronto is the 9th seed in their conference right now, I would not be writing the Raptors off. This is the team that lost 3, 4, 5 games in a row. I'd have to look at my notes, so don't quote me on that. But they went from losing games back to back to looking like a competitive team recently. So if you're watching this, I wouldn't sleep on the Toronto Raptors, but I guarantee most people watching this are still gonna sleep on the Toronto Raptors because, I don't know, we'll see if I'm right about that or not. But, oh, and keep in mind, the Raptors have a serious defensive disadvantage right now in comparison to what they had back when they won the championship. I'm not gonna go too into depth on that in this video, but just know that the Raptors defense was way better a couple years ago than what it is right now. Kind of like life. Life was a lot better before this whole pandemic came around, but hopefully soon, man. I'm tired of this. So that's pretty much it, you guys. I appreciate you guys watching this video. Real quick, I promise I'm gonna make this fast. Hypothetically speaking here, if I were able to interview top ranked high school basketball players, I'm talking about the guys in like the top 25 in ESPN and all that stuff. If I were able to land an interview with some of those guys, would you guys rather I post them on this channel, or should I make a completely separate channel for stuff like that? Please feel free to let me know. I would love to hear your feedback on that. Anyway, as for always, thank you all so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you have not done so already. I can't believe I haven't stuttered in the last, like, I don't know, minute or two. That's a new record for me. I'm like Fred VanVleet setting records out here. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm out of here.